Greetings and welcome to Blossoming Brains, the podcast that explores the neuroscience behind lifelong learning. I'm your host, Dr. Vicki Draeger, a science teacher with over 30 years of experience with learners from preschoolers to postgraduates, and a finalist for the U.S. Department of Energy's Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellowship. Today, we're continuing our journey into a topic that is fundamental to every single one of us: food. In part one of Food for Thought, we heard from Dr. Elaine Rush, a retired professor of nutrition at Auckland University of Technology in New Zealand. Elaine helped us to understand some of the science behind good nutrition. In today's episode, we will put that science on the plate when I'm joined by my dear friend, co-author, and renowned food expert, Dr. Gail Bellamy. As a certified culinary professional, as well as the former executive food editor for Restaurant Hospitality magazine and a celebrated author, Gail knows how to make food both delicious and accessible. In this special episode, she translates the neuroscience of brain health into practical, mouth-watering recipe ideas you can make at home. It will be an empowering guide to stocking your pantry and your plate for better focus, memory, and long-term brain health. Welcome, Gail.
Thank you, Vicki. I'm delighted to be here.
Gail, you've had such a successful and varied career in food communications. You've been writing about food and beverages. You write about restaurants. You've written cookbooks. You've done recipe development. I know you've hosted several food radio programs, and you've taught food and culture courses, not to mention the fact that you've published 7 books on food and drink topics. With all of your vast experience in the food world, can you tell our listeners some of the important things you've learned about food?
Certainly. You learn a lot about food when you lick plates for a living. And of course, food connects us to our family. And I have learned that it really is such an important part of our lives. It never exists in a vacuum. When I was researching my book, Cleveland Food Memories, that's a social history, as you know, that looks at one city through the lens of food. I interviewed more than 50 people, and their food memories and experiences really helped me to realize that food is so much more than nutrition.
More than nutrition. Now that's interesting. Can you expand on that?
Sure. As I mentioned, it connects us to our family and our childhood, our neighborhood, and our cultural history. It's also a conversation where everybody has a voice. Many of us have a personal food philosophy. Chef Thomas Keller from the French Laundry in Napa Valley has often talked about cooking to maximize flavor and texture and taking your time and learning the story behind your food. Many of us have foods that remind us of holidays or their celebration foods or their comfort foods or splurge and luxury foods that we only have once in a while. Some of us have them more often. We also have foods that we eat when we're not feeling well, foods when we're sick or when we want to stay well.
Well, I don't think I've ever really thought about food that way, Gail, but it makes a lot of sense. So today we want to talk a bit about how we can consciously eat in a way that can nourish our brain. Do you have any suggestions on how we might approach that?
I think a good starting place is if we're serious about changing the way that we eat and want to nourish our brain. A good place to start is to ask ourselves questions like, what are our food goals for better health? What's our overall objective? And where we're going to go for resources to get reliable information.
Okay, so we're talking about food goals for better brain health, what our overall health objectives might be, and where we can find sources or resources of reliable information, because I'm sure there's a lot of kind of kooky stuff out there. So I guess it's important to just be intentional about your food goals and objectives, that might be a good start. And of course, you'll want to have reliable information to inform your choices. Can you suggest where some of our listeners might go to find reliable sources of information, Gail?
Sure. One place, if you're, because I'm from the taste sector rather than the health and science sector, I'd look for information in journal articles about food topics or questions that interest me. They can be scientific journals like Nutrients or British Medical Journal. I also go to various websites, places like Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic or Harvard website about medical issues. And for food and recipe ideas, probably just like everybody else, I go to the recipe websites like allrecipes.com or food.com or seriouseats.com. Um, and the thing about the medical websites that I mentioned is that they provide food or diet recommendations for people who have specific needs or health objectives that they're trying to meet. So that's often a good place to start and then branch out into the recipe websites for foods that you know you would enjoy.
Great. Well, thank you. And now, while I have you, I'm wondering if you can enlighten us on what some of the food trends are today that fit in with neuroscience topics.
Well, the first one that comes to mind is the food is medicine or the food as medicine programs that do things like promote connecting patients with farmers to make fresh foods more readily available. This is certainly not a new idea. As far back as 400 BC, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, was linking diet and health and embraced the idea of making food your medicine. Um, we often hear the phrase, you eat first with your eyes. Well, there's another trend, mindful eating. That's a trend in eating styles. And that's kind of looks at, eating with your mind or eating with your brain as well as your eyes. It usually means using all of your physical and emotional senses to enjoy the food that you make and helps us increase our gratitude for the food that we have. It encourages us to make choices that will be satisfying and nourishing to the body. However, it also looks at things in a positive way, not discouraging or judging our own eating behaviors. Because as I mentioned, there are so many different types of eating experiences and reasons why we choose to eat certain foods, including our background and our memories, and unfortunately, often our budgets. So we've heard that expression about eating with our eyes, and the mindful eating takes it a step further to eating with your brain. So that kind of considers where our food comes from, how it's prepared, who prepares it, how it looks and tastes and smells, and being aware of how we feel after we eat it. Do we feel full? Do we feel like we want some more because it was so delicious? And then we can also reflect on our food choices and how they affect local and global environments.
Okay, so I guess if you're eating mindfully, that's not the same as driving through um, fast food drive-in, grabbing a sandwich, munching on it while you're checking your cell phone, driving your car, listening to your kids in the back seat. This has to do with actually having a time to sit and relax and think about your food. And it's kind of interesting that the food will help our brain, just as our brain, using our brain mindfully, can help us choose the food that's going to help our brain.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
I
It's
think that's wonderful. I hadn't thought about that at all, that mindful eating. So you see, I've worked for over 25 years with indigenous populations, particularly with Native Hawaiians. I lived in Maui for 25 years and worked with Keikioka Aina Family Learning Centers. And I wrote a number of their grants. And in doing research on the health issues of Native Hawaiians, I came across a fact that was published by the American Diabetes Association. And according to them, as recently as 2022, the total estimated cost of diagnosed diabetes in the United States was, this is phenomenal, $412.9 billion per year, not million, but $412.9 billion per year. So I think that's kind of staggering when you think about it. Can you tell us another food trend?
uh see, I would say also on that same topic, Vicki, uh, I had seen a statistic from the Rockefeller Foundation that we spend in this country $1.1 trillion annually on healthcare costs related to diet, and that is approximately the same amount of money that we spend on food itself. And your diabetes statistics are a perfect example, and that's just one disease. So, some of the other trends that tie in with this are many people today eating a more plant-forward diet, and that, kind of affects us when we're choosing everything from our meals to when we're grocery shopping and looking for more nutrient dense snacks.
Hmm.
So it's some examples might be, for those snacks, things like yogurt, cheese, or even trail mix. According to the USDA, only 1 in 10 adults eats enough fruits or vegetables. So I think when we're starting to look at what we eat, snacking is a good place to begin. Uh,
Yeah, that's true. I also I think that in conversations that I had with you before, Gail, you mentioned that the International Food Information Council reported that an estimated 50% of the typical American diet is made up of ultra-processed foods. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct, and those would be foods that on their labels have a long list of ingredients, especially ingredients that we don't recognize. So,
Wow. When you think 50% of the typical American diet is made up of ultra-processed foods, that's pretty high. Um, so what are some examples of better for you snacks or how can we do this? How can we approach it since we're so used to eating these ultra-processed foods? What can we do differently that we actually would do? Because a lot of times they tell you to do this and you think, I don't want to do that.
we
What
can
would you
approach it
recommend?
mindfully. That's a good place.
Okay.
And looking for a better for you portable snack. And so that would just, you want to keep in mind some of your other goals, and it varies for everybody, but most people want to keep in mind protein. Making sure that they eat enough protein as well as their personal preferences. Um, Protein is good for snacks because it helps satisfy hunger. And I can give you some quick pointers for making your own trail mix if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay, you want to balance the flavors. That would be sweet and savory, and balance those with the textures like soft and crispy or chewy. And the protein would come from seeds, nuts, and things like soy nuts or dried edamame. If you're not familiar with soy foods, by the way, soy nuts are a crunchy snack. Just they're made from dried soybeans, and they provide 10 grams of complete protein per quarter cup serving, high quality protein.
Maybe, Gail, if you wouldn't mind, you could write that recipe down and I can put it um, on my website. Um,
Absolutely, sure.
yeah, because my author's website is going to have a tab that says podcasts, and people can click on that and find the resources that you're referring to today, and also some of your yummy recipes. So that one sounds like a good one. We'll put that trail mix recipe on the website. So now, did you say that soy nuts provide 10 grams of complete protein?
That's correct. And if you want to know what that means,
I
uh,
do. I hear it all the time.
I
A complete
know.
protein. I don't know what a complete protein is.
Okay, a complete protein is one that has all nine essential acids in the amounts required for health and nutrition. So it combines everything is in that protein. A third of a cup of dried edamame, that's another example, has about 14 grams of complete plant protein.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a good snack.
Yeah.
And the idea on, we'll have the recipe on the website, but it would include then protein that would, come from maybe soy nuts or almonds and uh, dried fruit like dried cherries, raisins, dried cranberries, and a small amount of chocolate chips. And
Ah, chocolate chips. I love chocolate chips. I didn't think I could have chocolate chips if I'm trying to change my diet. I can have some chocolate chips.
yeah, you could have, a few in there. There's a lot of ingredients, and there would be, it's a little reward buried in the trail mix, unless you're eating it with me, because I would pick all of them out, so you wouldn't really have to worry about that. There wouldn't be any in your portion.
You'd be picking them out to eat them yourself, I know.
Yeah, I
But
would be.
I understand there have been recent studies, Gail, on aging. So that's a particular interest of mine as I get older. I understand there have been studies on aging that look at the relationship between nutrients and better brain function. So can you share any of those findings with us? I know you're right on top of that sort of thing.
Mm.
I think it was, um, you want me to share what I found, Gail?
Oh, wait.
It was mid-March of 2026. And we started seeing media coverage of a new study published in what that journal that you mentioned earlier, the British Medical Journal of Neurology.
That's correct.
Can you
And
go on from there?
sure. The findings were that a diet that was rich in leafy greens, berries, and fish was linked to slower shrinkage in areas of the brain that are related to memory and thinking. And that study tracked adult brain changes for in the participants for approximately 12 years. And they found that those who followed the MIND diet, MIND, Mediterranean dash intervention for neurodegenerative delay, uh, was a diet that limited fried foods and red meat. And that diet had the people in who followed it had brains that appeared on MRI scans to be about 2.5 years younger than those who followed the diet the least. So it was a pretty uh, interesting study to me. I thought, whoa, that's doable.
That's amazing. Just leafy greens, I guess collards and spinach and things like that, berries and fish. So there was slower shrinkage in areas of the brain tied to memory and thinking, and that it could make a difference in age of about 2.5 years. Well, that is amazing. 2.5 years younger.
Yeah.
That's
And
really something to think about.
there have been some other studies as well. Research from University of Illinois suggested that people age group 65 to 75 who were consuming a variety of nutrients had better brain function. And omega-3 fatty acids, for example, and I know you've talked about that previously, were associated with general intelligence, and omega-6 fatty acids were associated with other skills involving mental control and self-regulation. So apparently, the brain likes to pay attention to what it eats.
Well, Dr. Rush was talking about omega-3 fatty acids on our last podcast. Um, what foods do you recommend to help us get more omega-3 fatty acids?
Well, some of the food sources that are listed for as being a good source of omega-3 include fatty fish. Those are types like salmon, tuna, herring, sardines, and plant oils like soybean oil. That's often labeled as vegetable oil in a grocery store, canola oil, flaxseed oil, and also walnuts. So those are some of the foods that would be good for that.
Those are also kind of tasty foods, so that
Well,
doesn't sound so
yeah,
bad.
they are. They are.
They're cooked nicely. So, also, I'm hoping you might have some more quick, easy, and budget-friendly recipe ideas for us.
Sure. I think people who want to eat more leafy greens or have more salads and vegetables every day, uh, dips and salad dressings make a big difference in what we enjoy. And so I can provide some easy recipes for salad dressings. They can make made very quickly in a blender or food processor. And if you don't have that handy, you can use a whisk. I like to incorporate soft silken tofu because, again, getting back to that protein thing, a 3-ounce serving has 8.5 grains approximately of plant protein, zero cholesterol. So that would be an easy dressing idea, and I think that would be a good one on your website to find.
Well, Gail, one thing that I know, since we hang out quite a bit, is that sometimes when I've been to your house to eat, you have pasta that's high in protein. Is that a thing? I mean, you can get it at the
That's
grocery
just
store?
some. Yeah, there are many different brands, and some of them are made with chickpeas. Some of them are a blend. Barilla makes a protein pasta, several of them. I think I've had some at your house too that were different kind, and I can't remember what those were. But yes, if you look, it has many of them, depending on the quantity it'll tell you what the plant protein is per serving. And so that's another helpful thing. And they're good. I mean,
Yeah. So, yeah, I could never tell the difference.
yeah, we,
So, but when you're talking about eating mindfully, which is so important, I'm hearing that we also have to be shopping mindfully, don't we? We need to just take a couple of minutes to look at the ingredients in some of the things that we buy off the shelf.
yes. And I think a lot of people are starting to do that more often. According to Innova Market Insights, who tracks food trends, that's one of the top trends for 2026 include protein intake, what people look for in the store, um, digestive wellness or gut health, and functional foods that offer things like mental health support. As some of the functional foods might be fermented foods like sauerkraut, yogurt, or tempeh, which is fermented soybeans. And another sought after attribute is high fiber and, of course, protein. So that's something we would look for in cereals and pasta and other grain related foods.
Yeah, my husband's a physician and he really likes to eat total cereal because it has a lot of fiber and things in it. But he found actually a cinnamon. I'm a cinnamon person. I love cinnamon. and I'd rather have a big fat cinnamon roll, but he got cinnamon Cheerios, which when I compared the total to these cinnamon whole grain
Hmm.
Cheerios, it turned out they actually had more fiber in them than the total, just looking at the two boxes.
Yeah, I've
So,
never tried those. I'll have to, I'm gonna be looking for those, Vicki.
and
Thank
they're
you.
tasty. They're real tasty.
They
So,
sound like
and
it.
they would be a snack too. So,
And they can be incorporated into a trail mix,
yes. And
things
the other
like
thing I've
that.
noticed, Gail, is when I try to reduce the amount of sugar in my diet, after about 2 weeks, I don't have the same craving for sugar as I did before.
And I think that's, when we start eating differently, you do have to gravitate towards other foods. So that's, another thing to keep in mind. And grocery shopping, um, we always think about what we like, but also there's considerations like our budget and the time that we have to spend in the kitchen and
Hmm.
what's convenient. And sometimes making dietary changes requires cooking more from scratch or using fresh ingredients or looking for whole foods. But or steering away from convenience products. And that's not always easy. It depends on how hectic our life is and
Hmm.
how much time that we have to devote to it. And also, if you're introducing a lot of new foods at once, there's no guarantee that everybody in the family is going to eat them. So, that's another thing to consider. It's, something maybe we want to ease into.
Well, yeah, those are good points. Listen, I raised 5 kids and I know I could cook a variety of healthy vegetables, but getting them to eat them was another matter altogether.
Absolutely. And isn't that why we co-authored our vegetable storybook? Just kind of introducing children. This one?
Yeah, the vegetable storybook for readers and eaters, which was
Oh,
amazing. It really it won a global award, the Gourmand Award. And I'm not saying that because we're trying to sell that book, because I think it's even out of print right now. But it was a really fun book and a fun idea. The idea was just as bedtime stories transition children to bedtime, something that they often resist, that we hope that our vegetable stories, which were multicultural, would help transition children toward eating more vegetables. And I was able to use my Montessori experience to introduce children. At the end of the book, we had guided tastings for the kids where they could compare things. So, anyway, um, what works for adults when it comes time to incorporate new or different foods, though. Our book was about children, but Gail, what do you think works for adults when it comes to trying to incorporate new or different foods? Because we're the ones that can really get set in our ways.
we are. And I have a friend, and we've co-authored digital cookbooks together. And one of the recommendations she makes, her name is Linda Funk, and she suggests that we combine a familiar food with an unfamiliar one so that we're not going over into a whole new, game board, a whole new arena. We're just blending two things. So we might introduce a plant protein like fresh edamame in a salad, that with a salad that people already like, that everybody in the family already enjoys, and you're adding one more vegetable and also increasing the protein. It's kind of that type of an idea works well. I know that in 2024, the American Journal of Medicine noted that every global professional society was endorsing now a plant-forward diet that was lower in fat and processed foods, and that was a type of diet that was key to prevent or promoting health and preventing disease. So, um, One of the ideas that Linda Funk suggests is combining, lightening up something that we really like whipped cream, homemade whipped cream. That might take 2 cups of heavy cream. You can really cut that down by using 1 cup of silken tofu. Instead, that lowers the saturated fat content, maintains that texture that we like, and blends well with dairy products, so it has a fresh, neutral flavor. And there are a lot of fun recipes with that.
Yeah, and of course, then there's affordability. Right now, grocery prices are kind of high. That's a disconcerting thing, but it might be good for people to also know that canned um, fruits and vegetables and frozen fruits and vegetables also have good nutrients in them, don't they?
The canned vegetables, frozen vegetables. So and a lot of it's just when you're in the grocery store, what looks good that week?
Mm-hmm.
No, so we're looking at the prices, but we're also looking at the fresh fruits and vegetables and seeing what looks good.
I want to ask your brain to do 3 small things that make a big difference. Follow this podcast, like this episode, and subscribe. When you follow, like, and subscribe, your app saves Blossoming Brains for you and reminds you when new episodes come out. Follow so you can find the podcast again. Like so the apps know this episode was valuable. Subscribe so your brain gets a gentle reminder to keep growing with us. So, one more time, for your beautiful, busy brain, follow the podcast, like this episode, and subscribe to Blossoming Brains wherever you're listening or watching. And also, then there's the issue of convenience because no matter what, people aren't going to, I know I couldn't really change their lifestyles with 5 children and running a business. Um, we also need convenience in packing the kids' lunches. But one thing I found was that if you make a healthy dinner, make more of it so that you can send some of it in containers with your children for lunch so that you're not too locked in on grabbing little boxed things for lunch that are usually ultra processed. So by cooking extra, by freezing things, there's different ways that you can make things convenient. You might put just a little more time in it up front, but then when you're really busy, like if you do special things on the weekend to get ready for the week, so you've got healthy food for your family to eat when they run off to school or to work. So, anyway, Gail, we're nearing the end of our program, but before we conclude, I was hoping that you might provide us with some practical ways to approach switching to better for you foods, foods that are better for you.
Well, I think that the first idea is to blend the familiar with the unfamiliar. And
Right.
the uh, other ways are just to look at alternatives and read food labels. And we were talking about trail mixes and cereals and pastas, and those are very easy to do ideas. Another way to, a dessert that I think you might have had at my house that cuts down on the amount of sugar was using the tofu whipped cream and having a spin on the classic British dessert raspberry fool. So it's fresh mashed raspberries. Some of them aren't mashed, and the whipped cream tofu mix, very little sugar in it. And that's kind of a dessert that eases us into another way of eating.
Yeah, and I'll say, Gail, that really was delicious. And I've never really been a big tofu eater. I mean, I think a tofu is like coming from beans, and I'm going, ooh, beans in my whipped cream. I don't think I would like that very much. But actually, it didn't taste, it was tasted delicious. It just tasted like it was whipped cream. I couldn't even tell the difference.
Yeah, it's a very creamy, neutral flavor, and that's why it's good in salad dressings like ranch dressing. It also mixes well with guacamole, fresh avocado, and
Mm-hmm. I
can,
could see that. I could
yeah,
see that.
yeah. So
I
there's
like the name. I like the name of silken tofu
I
because
know.
it's
Well, that's its
silky.
texture.
Yeah.
Comes in different textures, but that's one that I find is really good for incorporating into things like smoothies, salad dressings, uh,
Mm-hmm.
mixing with dairy products like ricotta cheese to make stuffed shells, stuffed pasta shells
Oh, yeah.
as an entree. So those are some of the easy ideas, and sometimes it's just experimenting with new ingredients.
Right. And that can be kind of fun if you take a little time, if you're working, if over the weekend you try to do something a little bit different. And you're going to find in some of my later podcasts how it talks about how important it is for all of us, and particularly older people, to try some new things. Every time you try something new, it stretches your brain. So you can try out some of these suggestions that Gail's made here. And Gail, I think we've reached the end of our podcast time, but you've definitely provided us with some food for thought. I know that your resource sources, you have sources to support everything that you've talked about today, and our listeners can find those resources on our podcast website under references sources. So you go to vickidraeger.com, look at the tab that says podcast, and you'll be able to find references, sources, and also some of those yummy recipes. So now until next week, thank you for joining me on this episode of Blossoming Brains. And don't forget to keep learning, keep growing, and keep blossoming. Thank you.